I am live. Alright. We're just trying to check that out. What you think, Shelby? Get this turned just right. Trying to figure out, most of the time when I see somebody goes live, it'll, pardon me for looking like crap, I've been sick. It, always lets me know maybe a half hour in advance, I guess, that someone's about to go live. So anyhow, we're just trying to figure out how all this works. Anyway, later today, live stream around 6 p.m. Central Time. Not sure how it's going to work. It's supposed to be at the house, in the comfort of my own home, where all my guitars are. And I've got more of my sheet music and stuff there than I do here, but I got a pretty good selection of songs here with me. And the problem is, I was on my way to Memphis with this load. It's supposed to deliver 10 o'clock Friday night. And then dispatcher calls me around 5 o'clock Friday and says, or not 5, about 1 o'clock, I guess it was, about 1 o'clock Friday, and said, oh, you're not going to be able to deliver that because they leave at 5. Well, then how did you come up with the idea they were there till? Because I could have got there at 8 o'clock. So meanwhile, I've been sick. So if I can't get there before they go home, what's the sense of trying to get back to Memphis at all in any big hurry? So I've been pulling over and resting and what have you. And the weather has gone to shit farther up north. And believe it or not, although we might live south of the Mason-Dixon line in the Ozark Mountains, it's still north as far as we're concerned with the weather. And the mama, because she is a real cautious driver, and I can't blame her. I probably wouldn't want to get out on the road either in my van, so more on that in a minute. The roads are slick, they're icy. It's been snow and sleet up there, which of course snow and sleet mixed together makes nothing but a nice sheet of ice after it has had a chance to sit there and permeate on the ground for a little bit. So she says, I'm sorry, I just can't get there. And we live 4 hours from where I work. So when I bring the truck back to Memphis, usually she's there waiting on me, or depending on what time I tell her to leave home, it gives me enough time to do my paperwork and get all my stuff together so she doesn't have to wait on me. But ballpark, we got worked out pretty good. And it would be, by the time she would get around Jonesboro, Arkansas, and pardon me, like I said, I've been sick. By the time we would get around Jonesboro, Arkansas, she'd probably be in decent weather, and if not, surely by the time she got down to I-55, down there around Osceola. But she said, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. And I said, well, I'm in a big rig, so I got this bunk here. I've got my guitar with my shower bag on it, got my laptop, I've got my dog. And it's a big mess in here because I was planning on unpacking everything, getting ready to go home, so I wasn't too concerned about these last couple of days being sick. I wasn't too concerned about straightening up. But, so anyhow, apparently, my live stream this evening will be from here in the truck. I'm not sure if I'll stay here in Jasper, Alabama. I'm at the Lowe's truck stop here in Interstate 22. Pardon me. Or if I'll go on into Mississippi. The load I got is legal, but the chicken coop there, the weigh station at Fulton, Mississippi, they can kind of be jerks on the westbound side, which I'd have to cross to get, across the state to Memphis. So on Sunday they tend to close, so maybe I'll just go ahead and ease on back towards Mississippi somewhere. There's another Love's down at Tupelo, and maybe camp out there for the remainder of the weekend. But anyhow, more on my van. If y'all haven't noticed lately, there have been a plethora of guitar videos, but you haven't seen any van videos in a while. Well, that was because when I had started, I've done two different floor plans. I hadn't completed either one. If y'all watch, which I'm sure just about everybody does, if y'all watch Chrome Valdez with his channel Van City Van Life, I've watched him take it from nothing but a metal shell with his clothes hanging on a bar that's welded across the side of the van for extra strength, and turn it into the van he's got now, paneled and whatever else. The thing that he tells everybody is live in it the way it is, and then kind of build as you go. Pardon me. And no, I'm not covering my mouth. I'm in my own truck. There's nobody else here to pass my germs on to. So, anyway, and I had done that. I was working at a steel mill in Jackson, Tennessee, loading steel for other truckers to come pick up and drop a hook their empty trailer, grab the loaded trailer, and go. I would load and tarp it. All they had to do is tighten down the straps. And the reason why we weren't supposed to do that is because the DOT says it's the driver's responsibility to make sure his load's secure. And if we did it, they would get lazy and not bother checking at all. And then sure enough, if someone doesn't, you get a trailer that someone didn't get to tighten, some guy's going down the road with loose steel on the deck. So anyway, I lived there all week long in my van. You can probably see a couple of my videos if the 49 of you who are subscribed to me. It's a little work in progress, still growing. Anyway, you've seen some of these videos that I took at the mill. Anyway, and believe it or not, as crappy as I sound right now, this is me starting to feel better. But anyway, there was a lot of play in the wheel in that old van. And it's a 1987 Dodge, 3/4 ton, B250. Everyone will say long wheelbase, but technically your longer body Dodge and Ford vans are a standard wheelbase van with a longer tail cap is what they really are. Only General Motors makes a long wheelbase van. So, and I'm not going to drag this on too long. I'm sure y'all don't want to keep hearing this. So, but anyhow, it used to belong to a nursing home up in Horseshoe Bend, Arkansas, not far from where I live, right there near the Missouri line. And there's just a lot of play in the wheel, and it don't have that many miles on it. It's 80. When I bought it, it had 83,000 original miles on it. I think I'm up to 97 now. But I don't know if someone was driving it like an idiot and hit every fucking pothole they can find, or if they climbed curbs recklessly. I don't know. But anyway, the front end was kind of squirrely. But I was like, man, I've driven old farm trucks, old pickup trucks that had more play in the wheel than that. I've driven big rigs out here that had more play in the wheel than that, so I didn't be too concerned about it. And one day, I wanted to get the front end aligned. I figured maybe it might need a tie rod end. There's two of them. Maybe it just needs one, and I'll get away with that. Maybe $50, $100 plus another $70 for the actual alignment. Turns out. And this has been a little process because the more they would start digging into it, the more they was finding. And I trust these folks. Where I live, the Dodge dealership does not do front end alignments. And there's no actual front end alignment shop. It's a small little town in the Ozarks. So, but the Ford dealership does front end alignments. They don't care who built your vehicle, they'll handle it. And my wife's son-in-law works there. So I total trust that they all know her. She's known everybody in that town for 40 years, and everyone loves her. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to do, like some places a woman brings a vehicle in and they're like, let's really hook her up. I don't think that's what's going on. But anyway, they get into it. It's going to need two tie rod ends. The tie rod itself, which is connecting the two tie rod ends, and an upper ball joint on the, I think it was the right side, I forget. Anyway, one of the upper ball joints is bad. I mean, you can just literally grab the wheel and if you're looking at the wheel cover, the hubcap, push the top of the tire and pull it out. It would just wobble that much because the upper ball joint's worn out. So, I said, well, how much is that going to cost? It's not that the money's that important. Obviously, your safety's more important. But the idea is, if I'm going to have them fix it, I need to have the money to pay them when they're done. So I don't want to have them tearing into it if I don't have the money to pay them. Because right now our plan is to finish the build on my van. I love my van. I love the ideas I got for building it out. But I actually wanted the short wheelbase, the exact same van that I have, but a short wheelbase Dodge van. And in that same body, I can find short wheelbase all day long with that little curved nose, which is the next body style after the one I've got. But the mid-late 80s body style, I'm sure they're out there. If you can find the later years that have them, so should be the earlier years. But I can't find one. I'm still looking, though. But the idea is to sell the Dodge, find a short wheelbase van, and we're going to do an entirely different build with that because we've got 5 cats and 2 dogs. And we love our critters. We ain't getting rid of them just so we can go minimalize and live in a van. But by the same token, you get I don't know if y'all watch RV Rebel Girl. She's got this cute little trailer she pulls behind her Ford Escort, and it handles it just fine because it's a lot single axle, lightweight. But that's just her and 1 dog. Myself, my wife, who doesn't necessarily chain smoke, but she smokes probably, I don't know, maybe a pack a day, and 5 cats using a litter box, and 2 dogs. One who Shelby's pretty good about this, but Buddy the Wonder Dog, he loves to, I swear it's like every piece of roadkill he must find, he wallers in it. I've seen other dogs do this too, and he'll come home, oh, hell no. So, we need the largest RV trailer we can find. So you can have an area for the critters to just lounge, and that's where the litter boxes will be, so that we don't have to deal with that right there in our noses all the time. And again, it would be too small of a space for 5 critters, an adult who smokes, and another adult who likes to lounge around, eat, listen to music, play guitar. And the problem with the longer trailers is heavier, and when you put that on that tongue onto the hitch of the van, my tail is so long on my Dodge, being the extended tail body, that the slightest little wind against the sides of that trailer will have me fishtailing all over the place. It's a wreck waiting to happen. I'm a trucker. We're in a big rig right now, and I see that kind of thing all the time. And I know nobody's here yet. This is just a test anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and post this. So I might as well say something instead of just sitting here staring at the camera waiting for anybody to show up when nobody knew I was going to do this anyway. So, meanwhile, back to the van. I need a short wheelbase van so it'll be more apt to tow the longer, heavier trailer and convert it just like I've been doing the one I've got now, so that I can still be able to have something to reside in when I'm at work, and yet, or if we go traveling and leave the trailer parked somewhere. But meanwhile, all the money that I make, it seems like all the money I make and then some, but a good portion of the money I make has been going into home renovations so that we can get the house sold. My wife's a widow. For the last 6 years of her previous husband's life, the house just kind of went down because he was sick and she was taking care of him all the time, and the house just didn't get cared for. And so I've got some things I need to fix. Meanwhile, some things that we're updating, and the carpenter, our contractor, he costs money. So anyway, then of course, meanwhile, we still got the bills to pay, and we still got standard living expenses, and then on top of that, I've got my van to fix, which now We've gone from five, maybe $600 up to $1,100. They get into it, they start digging into it, and they tell her the idler arm is worn. The idler arm, when you turn your wheel left and right, the idler arm is the piece that grabs a hold of your tie rod and starts turning it so that your wheels will turn the direction you want. And this is part of the problem. I've always noticed this, that I can turn the wheel a little bit of a ways before the tires actually start turning, before the tires actually start steering. And then once you get it turned where you want, turn it back around the other way. You get almost a full half turn, from here up and around and back over until the wheels will notice that, oh, he's wanting me to go the other way now. And but believe it or not, driving down the road, it wasn't that bad. I'm not sure why that is. It's got good tires on it, and I'm thinking that the alignment actually wasn't that far off at all. It was just all the worn parts that are causing problems. Because it would actually ride pretty straight going down the road. I wasn't necessarily back and forth with the seesaw on the wheel all the time. Anyhow, the idler arm, they said, worn. Okay, need that. Bushings here, need this here. And then they called her the other day, because my wife's the one dealing with all this because I'm out here on the road. They called her the other day and tell her, it's going to need a new upper control arm. The same upper control arm where the ball joint is. Now, that worn ball joint. The upper control arm is what people who, pardon me, either don't know any better or are just too lazy to say those two words. That's technically three. It's what people will call the A-frame. And you okay? Huh? She gets to stretching out sometimes, try to push me out of the bed. Anyways, A-frame, upper control arm, whatever you want to call it, it's cracked. And what that means over time, every time you hit a bump, especially when you hit a severe bump, you run the risk of that crack growing until one day finally just you got two pieces of upper control arm. So now they had to order that, and just all that. Now you gotta understand, this is a 1987 Dodge. Some stuff they used through the years, vehicle after vehicle after vehicle. So no matter what year your vehicle is, you'll always be able to find parts for it. And Dodge is good for that. One thing why a lot of people like Dodge, some of you might follow Just Incredible, got a purple van up in Vancouver. I used to, but he's, I don't know, a little brash for my liking, I guess, a little cocky. And anyway, so I don't subscribe to him anymore. But one point he made in a video of his was why he specifically likes the Dodge vans. Because he buys these B-class, technically it's a genuine motorhome because it has a shower and a toilet and a kitchen and whatever else in it. But he buys these that are built out of the Dodge chassis, and the reason why is because Dodge hadn't changed the main design. Yeah, they changed the body style some. Pardon me. But even that hadn't changed much other than, the grill and the headlights and all that, tail lights. But the body itself has pretty much stayed the same, body and chassis, from 1971 all the way up to, I think, 2003. Nobody, not even Ford, nobody has done that. So by having a Dodge van, you're more likely to be able to find parts, and that's a good thing, because you can find parts as recent as a 2003 and they'll fit your old amount of Dodge. But anyhow, so now they're up to a ballpark of 1,100, which I'm assuming after taxes and everything probably gonna be more like 1,300. But that's why there's been no van videos lately. In fact, last weekend I got to go home, and I had every intention of working on the van. I've got plywood cut to do the floor. I've been insulating the floor in between the ribs. On the low side of the floor ribs, I'm putting 1/2 inch. Now, the distance from the bottom of this rib to the top of this rib is 3/8 of an inch. And I'm putting 1/2 inch foam. If y'all saw the videos, just listen to this, where the door slams, you don't hear the metal warbling anymore. Um, Half-inch insulation, it's styrofoam. It'll compress when you put some weight on it, so it'll fill that void up pretty good. And so I'm putting that, not insulating at all on the upper side of the rib, because the more you build onto your floor and the more you build onto your ceiling, the smaller the distance is between the two. And you really want to try to keep as much of that real estate as you can. So I've got 1/2 inch instead of 3/4. 3/8 is too thin. Although with the foam underneath and the low side, I'm pretty sure it'd handle it. But because of the dampness that comes with van life, I went with 1/2 inch. I've got to cover the hole that I put in the floor when I was running the air conditioning exhaust out that way, because I'm now moving the air conditioner from the left side of the van to the right side, and then finish plywood the floor back there. And yes, I'm going to carpet my van. And people are like, dude, are you crazy? The dust and the fact that the dirt you'll drag in through time, and you got a dog with you, which is actually one of the reasons I want the carpet, because the dog hair and pet dander will stay in the carpet instead of just getting all over the floor and up in the air and whatever else. Plus, I'm actually kind of a very, I don't want to say neat freak or nothing, because I'm not. I'm not really a slob either, but somewhere in the middle is a healthy balance. That's where I'm at. But the idea is that carpet is extra sound insulation, as well as maybe not a whole lot, but a little more R value as far as temperature insulation. But the main reason is sound. I want the quietest ride possible. I have some hearing issues in my left ear, and there's certain frequencies that just drive me nuts. I want the quietest ride possible. The rocks pinging underneath the floor and everything. No, I want that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to carpet the entire van. Not the floor, the entire floor. And then when I get ready, because I'm building my own cabinets, I've had a dresser, and you can see several of my videos, you can see that dresser back there. I love that dresser. It's actually an old aquarium table is what it is. And it works out great for its size. But there's a lot of wasted space behind of it because of its height, and the van walls curve as, arch as they go up. So it creates a dead space behind it. And I want to make use of that space. So I'm going to build a cabinet about the same way as that. But obviously the bottom of the cabinet will go deeper than the top because of that arch in the walls. So when I've got all my framing laid out, which will basically be 2x4s screwed into the plywood floor, right through the carpet and everything, and my vapor barrier is going to be on top of the plywood. I didn't want the plywood sliding around much, so I will leave that as it is. Put vapor barrier on top, put carpet on top of that, and then after I've got that down, all the 2x framing that will be for the cabinets, I'm going to build the cabinets just like you would external furniture. And then when the furniture gets put in place, those framing blocks will be there, so I can just run some screws in and everything's anchored. It's not going anywhere. The way I'm going to build my walls, which y'all keep following me, you're going to like seeing that. The way I'm going to build my walls, the only thing I'm going to do is on the inside of the cabinet, there's not going to be a back. So when you open the cabinets and you look back in there, you'll actually see the wall. So what I'll do is I'll use the angle brackets on the inside, because it look like crap on the outside, obviously. And that's how I'm going to anchor the tops of the cabinets. And the only purpose for that really is just keep everything from squeaking and warbling, because once I've anchored everything along the base, there's really no need for anything else. It's not going to go anywhere. But I want, again, the quietest ride possible, because after all, when this is done, we're going to sell it. So anyhow, the idea of the carpet is, once all that framing is done, framing for the bed, framing for my main cabinet, framing for the cabinet that's going to be along the right side wheel well, I'm going to go slice the carpet all along that framing, So that basically wherever the furniture is going to be, there's going to be carpet underneath of it that will never move. Let it expand and shrink, whatever. Who cares? Nothing, you're not going to be able to see any of it. It'll still do the job I'm wanting it to do, which is help deaden the sound. Meanwhile, the carpet that is in between all the furniture will be able to be rolled up. Just start at the front, work your way to the back, start at the back, work your way to the front, whichever way is going to be easiest. I guess from the back to the front would be easiest. And roll it all up, take it out, go to a car wash, pressure wash the shit out of it, hang it up somewhere, let it dry, whatever. If it turns out that the carpet is a bad idea, I can just take it out, go to floor tile or something in there. Yeah, it'd be easier to clean the floor with a hard surface as opposed to carpet. But again, that's not what I'm wanting. I want to be able to walk around walk around. My van is not tall enough to walk around, and that's the way I want it. I want a flat top. My wife and I, we love to explore, and yeah, I see a lot of these folks with these Dodge Sprinters and what she called herself is the one I can't think what her channel is right now. She used to be an attorney, and she's got real bright hair, and she got one of those Nissan. Actually, it's a Nissan SUV with a high top on it. What it is, it'd be like a Chevy Suburban with a high top, and a lot of folks will do the hard floor. It cleans easier, but they're also out in the drier climates. Almost everybody at the channels that I tend to subscribe to seem to be out west. I've seen so much of Arizona that should my wife and I ever go to Arizona, it'll be because we've seen everything else in this country first. But anyway, I want to be able to put my feet to the floor where it's cold and damp in the Midwest where we live, and not hurry up and put them back up under the covers going, holy shit, whatever, because it's so cold. So that's the plan there. Meanwhile, like I said, if the carpet doesn't work, no big deal, pull it up. This will also give it the ability, because if you anchor all that carpet down with your furniture built on top of it, and then it starts doing the stretch thing and wrinkles, whatever else, there's no way to get that out. By slicing it like so, and of course, once I've cut it, I'll slice along the edge a little bit, which will give it that room to move around. Because when I'm done, just like in a house, it's going to have a baseboard all the way around of it. Not a real thick one, obviously, but pardon me. But it's going to have a baseboard. So that'll cover up the edges. So anyhow, that's the reason we're going the route that we are. Because we're not just going to build the van and turn around and sell it just like that. We're going to use it, go camping in it, and show y'all some of the great things there are to see around the Ozarks, because that's our thing. We love it up there. It's a beautiful country. So, but meanwhile, I want it to be livable for what I require. I'm like Chrome. I don't require a kitchen sink. I've seen a lot of y'all that are camper van lifers yourselves with the propane gas burner type portable stove thing. You can set up on a picnic table. You can do this, can do that. I've seen some that have their cooking setup built to the doors, and if that works for you, great. Most of the vans I've seen that do this, they do most of the cooking with the doors open. They're out in nice weather, great. But you know what? It rains a lot where I live and where we go camping and things. I want the ability that if it was to be we planned a trip, get where we're going, expecting this great weekend, then all of a sudden the weather turns to shit. I want to be able to do everything I do, even if the doors are closed up. So, I think it's called an invection stovetop, something like that. Well, it's basically, to me, it looks like a piece of glass, a piece of black glass, and I guess there's one or two electric burners. Well, I don't know how, it works electric, I'm sure of that, but it's not like the old rings on the old electric stove, I don't think. But however it works, that's my plan, and I'm going to have that with a lid over it, which will be usable counter space, that you'll lift the lid to be able to cook, and then close it again for storage or whatever. We're gonna have a microwave, which is how homie cooks. It's real simple. You buy something, you didn't eat all of it, You go warm it up again later. I can handle a microwave. But I do want to have the ability to cook in there, if for no other reason that whoever buys this van, that will be taken care of. So anyway, that's what's going on. That's why there's not been any van videos lately. We dropped the van off at the Ford dealer and decided to just leave it there. So because I don't have the van at the house, I can't work on it. Because I can still work on the interior even though I'm not driving it. And but yeah, when all that's supposedly it should be done sometime this week. Yay! I'm hoping. Anyway, although if I'd have gotten home this weekend, I wasn't feeling like working on it because I'm feeling like crap. But the the main thing is that's going to be pretty expensive cost, $1,200, and I'm like everybody else. You got your money pretty well spent before you make it. This is why a lot of people go into van life, because with their mortgage or their rent or whatever they're doing, they're barely getting by with what, the cost of living has gone up higher than the cost of one's wage. So because of that, it's taken a while to get the money saved up to be able to pay for the repairs on the Dodge. And that's why there's been no van videos. So when that has been paid, when that has been paid for and I get it back, we'll go back to van videos. The first floor plan, we hadn't just hardly got started with it. I built a frame between the wheel wells, 2 end tables. If you can picture 2 end tables, and they fit kind of inside that frame, and each of the end tables holds the other one in place so that I can't wobble around. Threw a mattress on top of it. There it was. Good enough. A couple of them little plastic tubs to keep clothes in and stuff for now. And that's how I was living in it in Jackson, Tennessee when I was working out there. I'd go out there 5 days a week, live in the van, go back home on the weekends. And I should have stayed there. I actually thought I'd make better money coming back on the road. Maybe so, but not with the company I had. So then I decided, well, the problem with this is I'm not getting as efficient use of the floor space that way. We were going to build eventually cabinets on both sides. You open up a lid, reach down in there, and alongside the bed, both sides alongside the bed, and that would have been fine. The problem is, for our age, I'm 55, my wife is 65, climbing in the bed, because the only way in and out is at the foot of the bed. Not so bad when you're getting in bed, but getting out, especially if your partner's still under the covers, kind of a pain in the ass. So, excuse my French, I'm a trucker. So that doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, that's the reason I talked about it. So, on a side note, again, Chrome, I'm a huge fan of Chrome's channel. I've been following him since he was, right around 1,200 subscribers, and he created a chat room, which, by the way, if you want to hang out with other van lifers online, it's kind of something you might look into. Download the app for the Discord chat, Discord, and when you get there, one word, I think it's got a hashtag in front of it, a hashtag or @ symbol, I think it's a hashtag, Weirdo Hangout, not Weirdos Hangout, Weirdo. And because if you know anything about Chrome, you know his motto is Weirdos Unite. And because only a weirdo would want to live in a van instead of a nice luxurious home. If you've seen some of his first videos when he left his condo, they do had a nice place. Anyway, the chat room's a lot of fun. There's some people in there who moderate, and they're in there quite a bit. So there's almost always, I can't say any time, day or night. There are times I've gotten in there. I'm a driver. I'm up day and night. I sleep weird hours. Just no matter what time I've gone in there, there's usually somebody in there. But sometimes, yeah, you'll not find anybody like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. But anyway, if you pop in there on a somewhat frequent basis, people get to know you, and they start looking forward to you coming in there. So it's pretty neat. You know, you can talk about anything there. It doesn't have to necessarily be van life, because you're building friendships after all. Is what you're doing, and Chrome started that. So it's pretty cool. But the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I've been sick, so I'm having a hard time keeping up with time. Not that I would lie on my logbook or anything, but the e-log in this truck doesn't work, so I've been loose leaf. And for me, the only way to keep up with the date is to run a current log. And maybe, just maybe, I ain't quite been doing that lately. Anyway, outlaw trucking ain't dead. So, I made a comment about how if it wasn't for Shelby out here on the road with me, I'd just be a F underscore. Some symbol looks similar to the letter C. I'm not even sure what the symbol means. And KED. I'd be such and such a mess. And this dude, Logan, says back to me, he says, well, apparently having her with you hasn't helped your spelling because there's a U in the word fucked. So, I talk that way, but when I'm on social media, I try not to. If I want people to know I'm using a swear word there, I won't actually type out the swear word most of the time. I might use the word ass because it's no big deal. Although a lot of times I'll do at $, even for that. A lot of different forums have gotten stricter on what they call the use of vulgarity, and different laws and things now. They're getting tighter on that. So I don't. Instead of trying to keep up with which places I can use vulgar words and which ones I can't, I just try not to. So, but it is who I am, and can't. Well, you can change, but it takes time. So. But more van videos to come, and maybe won't be this afternoon. Took a good hot shower yesterday, and that starts breaking all this stuff. I mean, I was in there for an hour. Hot water's beating on my chest, beating my sinuses and everything, and that's been breaking this up. So I'm hoping that all this crap, once I get up, because right now I'm laying here and really can't go anywhere, but clear my lungs out, that I'll be up and at 'em for this evening's live stream. Anyhow, it's gonna be called My 3 Songs, and the idea is, because if y'all know anything about my channel at all, you'll know I post a lot of different guitar videos. I don't want to call them guitar lessons, because I'm not teaching you anything. I am taking a song that you may or may not know the chords of and presenting it with the chords on the screen so you can learn the song. That's all I'm doing. It's not a lesson. Some of this stuff, I find the chords online and I go ahead and put it all out into the lyrics. Others, I actually have to come up with the chords and then put it all in the right order and make it work. But the idea is just so that some of the stuff people like, oh man, I love this song, but I wish I could play that, but I don't know the chords. And see, like, one of my favorite songs is Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Blue on Black. And when I hear it, of course, I'm listening to Kenny Wayne play lead guitar, so I'm like, oh man, I could never play that song, because I'm not a lead guitarist. I'm a rhythm guitarist, which basically means all I do is strum. Not a picker, I'm a strummer. But the turns out the chords for that song are super simple, and that's one of the very few songs where the verse and the chorus, the chords don't change. In fact, the whole pattern of the song don't change. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So once you've played these chords, you just go right back to that beginning and the next measure and start all over again. And so I'm like, you know what? If I didn't know this, there's other people who probably don't know it either. And so what I've been doing is presenting these songs for people to be able to learn some of their favorite stuff and play on guitar. So Mike Brown, pardon me, I gave you the finger. Mike Brown, who is one of Chrome's moderators, he moderates the Discord, one of the moderators of the Discord chat room, and he's one of Chrome's moderators when Chrome goes live, because there's people who like to talk shit, and he and a few others are right there to get that out of there. one thing I've noticed about the van life community, most everybody, uh, and if this was back in the 60s and 70s, we'd be called hippies. We're all about, love each other and be good and nice to each other, So, anyways, there's always a few bad apples though, and so the moderators remove all that before it gets to be a problem. And but anyway, Mike Brown had suggested that I do a live stream, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. And again, this is not my live stream. This is me trying to figure out how it works. Like I said, I'm not sure why it is. It just went straight to it. I was expecting for it to tell me, okay, your notice has gone out and come back in 30 minutes and get after it. But boom, right to it. So I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, he said, dude, you should do a live stream and play guitar. I'm like, yeah, but for me to do that chords on screen thing like I do, it takes anywhere, depending on the song and depending on the speed of my computer. My laptop starts getting hot, and when it gets hot, it just real slow, shuts down or freezes. It doesn't do the Windows black screen, blue screen thing. It just stops working. It'll do that little circle where it's thinking, and it just won't. It'll keep on doing it, keep on doing it, keep on doing it. And the only way for me to get back to what I'm doing when it does that is to unplug it from the power source, close the lid, turn it upside down, it's a laptop, turn it upside down, remove the battery, wait for 60 seconds or more. Otherwise, when you put the battery back in, its memory, short-term memory, will pick right back up. And wait for it to basically clear its own memory out. Then go ahead, put the battery back in, and fire it back up. Of course, I lose everything I'd done, start it all over, yada, yada, yada. What it was the mama's computer, and of course, we got married, it's our computer, and I make more use of it than she does, so I take it with me. She doesn't mind. But the computer was 6 years old when we got married, and so that makes it right around 10, 11 years old now. We're due for a new one. We don't have internet or anything on it, so it's not like there's a virus. There's nothing like that. But it's just, there hasn't been any upkeep to it because she didn't know to do all that. And the very first time I got to working on it, I couldn't believe how slow it was. I said, when's the last time you defragged this thing? When's the last time you've done any of these other programs to it and all? She says, I didn't know I was supposed to. I was like, oh yeah. And what I want to do, of course, it's a Windows product. I want to get a Mac. But for a Mac, whatever it is you're going to pay for the Windows product, you're going to pay that times 3 for a Mac. For a good one, anyway. And I'm the kind where instead of just going off and buying a lesser equivalent because I can't afford the Mac, then I'll just start trying to save my nickels and dimes till I can. It's hard to save nickel and dimes when you're trying to renovate a house and build out a van and traveling 4 hours each way to go to work and living out on the road for $150, $200 a week. The expenses aren't always food. Every now and then I've got to buy flags or signs that don't last forever. Do a lot of oversized stuff. From time to time, I've got to spend my own money to either buy oil or get the truck washed or something. Of course, now I'll get reimbursed when I turn the receipt back in, but meanwhile, that's that much of my money gone up front. So but yeah, that's my plan, is to get a computer made for doing video and this sort of thing. I'm not a big video game format, so that just doesn't do me, but something that I can store my music on and that I can edit video on in a timely manner, because between 2 and 4, sometimes 5, 6 hours. One night the thing ran so slow it took me 6 hours to edit a 5-minute song. and that's crazy. So anyhow, that's in the future works. I might go get one of the little cheap little $300 things at Walmart just so I have something that's got some speed to it that I can work off of. And again, since there's no internet, I plug my phone cord into the computer, and that's how I upload. I take video with my phone. I don't have any kind of digital camera or anything. And I wire it to the computer, and the computer, of course, tries to get into the phone. The phone won't give it permission, so I've got to allow the computer access to the phone through the phone. Then I go back, open up the files, move the video where I can use it in the Windows Movie Maker, start my editing process, do what I do, and then when I'm done, upload it back to the phone. And then, of course, the easy part is putting it up to YouTube. All you basically do is just activate that and walk away. Don't matter if the phone turns itself off. It doesn't matter, because once you've done, well, not off, but like on the computer, if the screensaver kicks in, it stops whatever I'm doing with Windows Movie Maker. Whereas the phone, if the screensaver kicks in or the screen goes black, because, after sitting idle to save the screen from getting the pictures and text burnt into it, it goes black. It doesn't matter. As long as the battery don't die. If the battery dies or the phone gets turned off for some reason inadvertently, which doesn't happen. My wife and I trust each other. I'm never on her phone. She's never on mine. So the ability for the video to upload itself to YouTube is pretty much trouble-free. It's the part getting it from the computer to the phone. We'll be sitting there eating. I'll be doing my video editing, and she'll say, "Okay, supper's ready." I'm like, crap, I'm not done. And the amount of time it would take for me to sit down and eat dinner, the screensaver will, of course, kicked in, and that will halt everything that I'm doing. So while we're eating, each of us takes turns going back into the study where I have the computer set up when I'm home on my desk, and we wiggle the mouse to keep the screensaver from kicking on. That way it'll keep uploading itself to the phone. So, but anyhow, so that's what's going on. Mike Brown says, do a live stream. And again, this is just a test to see how it works. I figured nobody came by, though, apparently. I guess that's what this is the little person up there is letting me know how many viewers there are, which is 0, which is fine. That's kind of why I did it right now, because I didn't, things that I've never done before, that no one's ever explained to me how they work, I kind of find intimidating. So anyhow, the idea of trying to get a feel for it, I'd rather there be nobody watching, so that's fine. But anyway, yeah, he says, do a live stream. So that we're going to do, it's called My 3 Songs. If you have a music instrument, by all means, join along. If you don't play music at all, but you want to be entertained, join in. It's 6 p.m. Central Time this evening, January 20th, 2019. And I've had one request for Leonard Skinner, so I've got that out of the way. For Mr. Mike, I like this guy. He's a pretty cool dude. I've gotten to know him a little bit. I don't know him personally. He lives in Alberta, Canada, I believe. Alberta, British Columbia. I think he lives in Alberta. Anyway, someone said he's basically north of Detroit, somewhere in that area. But the one of the songs I'm going to do for him, because it's a cute little song, and so I thought, yeah, I'll do that for him. And then so I still have a third slot. I haven't figured out which song to do yet. And since I'm not going to be getting home, I don't have all my music, so it has to be with whatever I have in my songbook. But I have 7 hours worth of music in my songbook. My wife and I were sitting around one night, and she's played for me for a while. It's okay. Sometimes I'll just play for a few songs and then go back to doing whatever I was doing. But one time I had a foot surgery, and I was out for a while. I thought my shoulder surgery hurt, but that was nothing compared to having Achilles tendinosis, I think they call it. I had a bone spur going through my Achilles tendon, and they had to cut the Achilles tendon off the back of my heel, peel that back, repair where it'd been torn, grind the bone spur down, reattach it, and I want to tell you, I won't wish that pain on anybody. So, of course, you can't do a whole lot moving around on that, and any moving around you do is going to be on crutches. So I'd get myself sitting still and just play guitar. For that and watch movies. It's pretty much all of that, and watch movies and sleep. That's all I did. So one night, we whipped my songbook out, and I decided I'm going to play cover to cover. I'm going to start from the front and work my way toward the back, because usually I just kind of flip through. Well, we ain't played this one in a while. And let's flip the other way. Let's play. Oh, she likes this one. Play that. You know, my wife's my biggest fan. And she's good for my ego. But anyway, she she's like, yeah, do that. So I played the first night. I think I played for like 3.5, 4 hours, and then wherever we stopped, that's where we left the book open. The next night I continued playing again. I didn't play there as long. The next night, I think just an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then the third night until I got to the very last song, and which is Gordon Lightfoot, the Ballad of the Wrecked Edmund Fitzgerald. I'll never do that in a video because one, it's a very time-consuming, it's a very lengthy song, and two, being a former sailor myself, I get really emotional with that song. So I would do it if I was at a bar, because I play at pubs and taverns sometimes. If I was at a bar and everything was getting just really, really rowdy and out of hand, I would do it as a mood killer in a heartbeat, try to control the crowd some. But other than that, of course, I might be like the Blues Brothers and hope to be in a chicken wire cage. But yeah, it's just something I play because I can relate to the song. It's not something I do to perform for. I don't even perform it for friends. My wife's best friend Tabber asked me one time to do that, and I did. But other than that, no, it's just something I do for me. So I got to the last song, and I didn't know she was doing this, but she was keeping up with, and it was 7.5 hours to play cover to cover through my songbook. And I've since added so many more songs, so we're probably right around 8.5, 9 hours now. Of course, in this book here is still the old book, so it's still right at 7.5 hours. But so I can pretty sure come up with a third song out of that somewhere. I'm trying to do stuff that's in standard 440 tuning, so that anybody following along doesn't have to retune their guitar. I play a lot of stuff. If you watch most of these videos, you'll see this one guitar more than any other, just kind of a plain Jane Dreadnought, nothing fancy. I sometimes even tell people what its name is, Mitchell, and one reason is because I'm the headstock, the brand, the manufacturer is Mitchell Guitars, and I had a friend named Mitchell who lost his life out on a towboat. That we worked together for a while. One day they put him on one boat, put me on another, and that's the last. He never went. 26 years old, never gonna see 27, and got killed for a captain, assuming he knew what he was doing. He was a green deckhand. He didn't know what he was doing. So yeah, Canal Barge might not hold this captain responsible, but I do. Anyhow, good guy. Led a kind of a shady life for a while. Lost his wife and kid because of it. Found the Lord. Found salvation. And turned his life around. Was actually repairing his marriage, trying to get back with his wife and child, and never got to do that either. So I hate when anybody loses their life. I'm going through some shit right now over a wreck that I was in a year ago. One guy wasn't seat belted and he didn't make it either, and I'll deal with that the rest of my days. But anyway, another story for another time. But I hate the fact anybody lose their life, but when somebody who actually shows that they're full of promise. Mitchell Shropshire was his name, and out of Macomb, Mississippi, kind of guy that might have made a difference in this world if he got a chance, So anyhow, so because of him and the fact that it just says Mitchell on the headstock, that's what I've named that guitar. It's cheap, secondhand. I bought it for $98, and it's the guitar I play most. It's not my favorite guitar. My electric semi-hollow is my favorite guitar, but the Mitchell is one of those guitars that, God forbid, someone stole it, or God forbid, something happened. It was in the truck too long with the engine off, and it got real hot, and therefore the neck warped or something. I'm not out a lot of money, and that's why I usually bring that one with me more than any other on the road. So, but anyhow, that's the guitar that I play most, but it's tuned a step down, which is 2 semitones, at 420, which means E becomes D, A becomes G, D becomes C, G becomes B, B becomes A, and then of course E becomes D. So the idea of Wow, I've been talking 54 minutes already because it only seems like 20. Maybe it's time I wrap this up. But anyhow, um, the idea of this, Mike Brown says, well, hey, well, hello, Itchy. How are you? I have a viewer. Yay. Look at the time. I've been at this almost an hour already. I finally have one viewer. But the idea of this is so that people who play music, or sometimes you want to play music, but it'd be nice if you had someone to play along, that is going to take care of that here. So that's what the plan is. So y'all drop by if you can. Well, you, Miss Witchy. But I figured I'll post this and anybody sees this later, So, although I don't know most folks that will probably sit through a whole hour of me with my sick voice and looking like crap. So, Miss Witchy, look here. If I can find her head is down there somewhere. There her are, Shelby. My baby girl. So anyhow, so how are you? I'm gonna give a sign off, but before I do, how are you this morning? It is in Central Time. It's 10 minutes after 2 here. So yeah, she's my baby. So I was in the chat room the other day, and Logan was asking me how I keep saying out on the road, and he wanted to know if that had anything to do with her, and I was like, yeah, it's got a lot to do with her. I'd be one screwed up mess if it weren't for Shelby. So anyhow, although every now and then she'll it's like having kids. My wife and I found this out. Having critters is like having kids. So every now and then they'll piss you off, they'll annoy you, but you still love them to death. So anyhow, I know I'm gonna do that when I get home one day. We have 5 cats and with Shelby 2 dogs. And 2 of the cats, one's named Two Socks, the other one's named Missy. Missy's the old cat. Once upon a time, she was the only cat, and Elaine rescued Buddy. All of our critters are rescues. And so she rescued Buddy, and then there was just Missy and the dog, and that was it. Then we got married. And then 2 cats, we've been out working in the yard. One day I'm on the house working on the roof, and a kitten, was climbing the extension ladder trying to get up to the roof. And I thought, oh my God, the cat gets halfway up and goes through a rung to kill herself. So I kind of shoot her off the ladder, and I came down. And we call her Precious. She's one of those big furry, I don't know what the calico, whatever they call them. I'm not sure what calico is, patches or something. Anyway, she's a real pretty cat. And so then one day we're going out, and Elaine's working in the yard, and I'm the mama. And I'm working in the shop doing something. I'd gone to the house for something to drink and come back out. And out of my shop comes this black and white tuxedo cat. And if you saw Dances with Wolves, you remember Two Socks, except her socks are on her back legs instead of her front legs. So we call her Two Socks. I'm like, I really want to put a little red bow on her because she'd be so cute. But Elaine's like, no. So, well, she's an inside cat. So Missy, Two Socks, and Shelby are indoors. Meanwhile, Elaine's former husband wanted to be cremated. And so we have a headstone at the family cemetery. And every now and then, because he was good to her, they were married for 27 years. I'm not competing with Larry's memory. She's who she is now because of the last 27 years of her life with him. So I look at it like the last 5 years is her life continuing with me. And we've taken one wall in our home and built it as a memorial to Larry. Pictures of their kids and everything. And she's kept some of his ashes in the box that they came in. And so anyway, the idea of all of our critters, we were at the cemetery one day, and she just wanted some time alone and go get her thoughts. I guess we're wrapped around Larry. Right around their anniversary is when it hits her the worst. And so I was like, well, I'll hold your hand if you want me to. I'll sit back here by the car if you want me to. She said, no, come with me. That's okay. And meanwhile, out of nowhere, come these 2 kittens. And you can tell they were just covered in fleas. I mean, all crawling over their eyes and everything, fleas. I've never seen nothing like it. Come out of the cornfields. There's no way that had gotten this far away from their mama without the mama being nearby. So we're figuring the mama might have got hit by a car or snatched by a coyote or who knows what. And so we looked around for a little while, picked them up at Love Dunham, and she was pretty well convinced that the mom was nowhere around. So we uh, we went ahead and brought them back. Well, meanwhile, one of them either wandered off the porch because we left them on the front porch that night in the cutout cardboard box with bedding and all in there, or it wandered next door, and one of the guy's grandkids who had just come to visit took it home with him. But the next morning, there's just one kitten out there, and so we call him Sawdust. And then one of her friends brought a cat, knowing that we rescue critters, and one of her friends brought us this cat, and she had the cleft lip thing going on, and she's the most lovable critter you'd ever see in your life, though. And we call her Smokey because of the color of her fur. But over time, now if you peel her lip back, you can still see that in her gums. But her lip itself is healed, and so now she looks just as normal as any other cat, and it doesn't really affect her anyway when she eats or drinks. So we just love her. And the only thing is, you don't ever bend down in front of this cat because before you know it, right into your back. But so anyway, we love our critters, and I enclosed the back porch and put heat out there for them so they have somewhere to get out of the weather and a place to be safe. So at nighttime, we go out to the kitchen and we look out the back door window, and there's Precious. I built these shelves into the wall. And there's Precious up high, and Sawdust and Smokey almost act like brother and sister because we found the one and then was given the other about the same time. And so they've just been real close together, and they'll wrap up in each other's arms to go to sleep. And then Buddy, he's always real close to the heater over there because he's one of these little skinny leg dogs, shivers all the time. In middle of summer, if he lays down in the shade for a while, he'll wake up doing like this. And then Missy, Two Socks, and Miss Shelby here are our indoor critters. So, are you going to be doing a chat from the bunker here later? Anytime this morning? Because if you are, I missed yesterday's. I'm really sad about that, so I can't miss today too. That'd be like playing hooky from school. That had a dwarfed crooked back legs. Now what is that? That's something I'm not sure what that would even look like. It means small. By dwarfed you mean short legs. And wow, that's the thing. A lot of people, because if an animal doesn't look normal, that they suddenly either they'll mistreat it or they just won't pay it any attention at all. But I look at it like being the kid at school wearing horn-rimmed glasses and plaid pants and a striped shirt many years after that's not the thing anymore, and being picked on at school. Nobody loves you because you're different. And not that was me, just saying. Yeah, it was. The Clark Kent glasses, horn-rimmed glasses, many years after that wasn't the thing no more. Everybody else was wearing wire rims, and that's why to this day I will only wear wire rims. And actually it was a plaid shirt and striped pants and my platform shoes. I was still pretty cool looking because I was stuck in the disco era long after disco had been phased out. So yeah, I got picked on at school a lot. But that's the way it was when my oldest brother and I were 4 years apart. And hey, I liked the disco though. I really, I was watching you earlier with the music you were listening to, and you were bebopping along. Some it's like, no, not this one. But every now and then you'd find one you like, and you just bebopping along. That video was adorable to watch. I loved it. And I know I love my music. I tell people all the time, they can't believe you take a guitar with you everywhere you go. What, are you planning to perform somewhere? Well, no, I just never. Like one time, my wife and I were on our belated honeymoon. We did not take a honeymoon when we first got married because we spent the money it would have taken to go on a honeymoon to move me up from Texas, where I was working at, to go move myself out of the house I was living in Corinth, Mississippi when I went to Texas, and come back. And so the following year we went on a honeymoon, and on the way back home my pickup broke down. When it broke down, I'm like, razzle frazzle, freaking, both guys start beating the thing, whatever. I cussed for a minute, yeah, but because it was middle of nowhere, and but I was like, oh well, what are you gonna do? So I just whipped out my guitar and sat down on we were one of the national forests up around the Ozarks, and I just sat down on one of these little stumps, says whatever the Wachita National Forest, whatever it was, and just sat down there and started singing and playing. And to this day, it's one of Elaine's favorite memories because instead of just throwing a temper tantrum and ranting and raving, that was what I had done. And she couldn't believe that because Larry was a mechanic. And apparently, when things didn't go well, Larry didn't like it. And told me one day, it makes me think of sometimes like your former husband. Uh, I guess one night she had made dinner and something about it he didn't like. He took that plate and flung it against the wall, food everywhere. Told her, I ain't eating that. You can clean that up. And I'll go into town and get something. Went to a restaurant by himself after having made a scene like that. And I've been like, you know what? That'll stay there till you clean it up. Till it gets to be a moldy, crusty crud on the wall. And I won't cook for you ever again till you do. But I'm Irish, so I get stubborn like that. But anyway, so she went clean. I was like, really? I just couldn't believe she'd done that. I was like, I wouldn't have cleaned up after me. So I know it's amazing how some people seem to think the whole world revolves around them. And I think the problem is because she told me, Larry was a spoiled child. He got whatever he wanted as a kid. If he was being told he couldn't have something, all he had to do is start fussing, and his mama would get it for him to make him shut up. Okay, I will see you there. So we'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye. Get off here myself. All right. See you later. How do I shut this off? There. Bye. Those of you who are watching this later, if you've watched all the way through this, you really need something to do with your life. Bye.